And that was actually requested by a man that I have on the phone in Sydney at the moment, Anthony Ash. Brennan, good afternoon, dude. How you doing?
Hello, Nick. How you going, mate?
I'm going all right, man. I'm going very well, but I'm not going nowhere near as well as you have been putting this film together about punks for Western Papua, mate. Give us a rundown about exactly the roots of the documentary and what's actually going down in that country that is very, very close to us.
Well, thanks, Nick. Thanks for letting me have a bit of a platform on your show for a little bit. I thank you for that. But, a lot of people don't actually know what's happening in West Papua. A lot of people actually don't know where it is. Geographically, it's 200 kilometres from the northern tip of Australia.
Yep.
And since the 1960s, over 500,000 people have been killed by Indonesian military. Now, it's a long and twisted story, but the crux of the situation is that there's a gold mine in the middle of West Papua, owned by an American mining company, Rio Tinto, and they pay the Indonesian military basically 10% of their profits, which amounts to about $1 billion a year, to protect that gold mine.
Now, that gold mine actually produces $8.7 billion a year, does it not?
That's right. That's right, mate. And workers get paid the equivalent of about $2.50 Australian dollars an hour.
Yeah.
And, it's not just a gold mine. It's rich in resources, West Papua. And from the second the Dutch gave it up, Indonesia, they went to the United Nations and they drew up a contract, and the contract said that in 1969 there was to be an act of free choice in West Papua. That basically meant all West Papua would vote whether they wanted independence or Indonesian rule. Yep. Well, the UN gave Indonesia control of the vote. So what actually happened, rather than all of West Papua voting, only 1,000 people were given the vote, and they were basically held at gunpoint to vote to Indonesia. And UN officials were there, they did nothing. Australian officials were there, they did nothing. Since then, Indonesia has banned all journalists and foreign aid from entering the country. So this is why nobody knows about it. Our news. They talk about ISIS, and we should be worried about all this stuff happening in the Middle East. It's 200 kilometres from our border. A genocide is happening, and we don't hear about it. I felt, firstly, that people needed to know about this, and I was fortunate enough to be friends with guys from a Sydney punk band called Diggers with Attitude, who organised a benefit gig, firstly in Sydney, and then it spread around the country. And so I spent the last 9 months travelling the country, interviewing the punk bands, visiting West Papuan leaders, including Benny Wenda, who's the leader of the Free West Papua campaign. Yep. And we've made a documentary called Punks for West Papua, and it's available tomorrow morning online at www.punksforwestpapua.com.
Yeah, just give us that online address again, please, mate.
www.punks4, as in number 4, westpapua.com.
And you've put your money where your mouth is, mate. You put 10 grand of your own money into this project, haven't you?
Yes, well, money out of my pocket, 10 grand, plus probably about 120 days of my time, shooting it, interviewing, editing, it's good to use my powers for good rather than evil for a change after 25 years of television.
Very much so, I agree. Now, one thing that angers me a little bit, and I also think it's very cool, the only people that really sort of bothered to do anything about this was a group of punk bands around the country, and they got it together and did it. And I think, that in itself is a really worthy ambition, and I don't see any other, big mainstream bands or commercial bands getting involved in this. It came down to the bottom line of punk bands around the country.
Mate, that's a really big message we're trying to put in the documentary, and that is, people look at punks or punk bands as, bottom of society. They'll cross the road if they see somebody with a mohawk or whatever. But true punks, I'm not talking about what corporate punk is today, but
designer punk.
True punk. It's about questioning. It's about questioning the government. It's about not accepting what you see on the news. And, it took these guys who don't earn anything when they play gigs. and they raised a lot of money and a hell of a lot of awareness to the cause, and we should tip our hats to them, mate, because they've done a wonderful job.
Well, that is just a truly great effort from those guys. And as I said, I don't see other bands getting involved in that. I guess if Midnight Oil possibly was still going, Garrett might have had something to say about this without doubt.
Well, yes, but, I think mainstream wouldn't have covered it. Mainstream media seems to steer away from anything about West Papua. They seem to steer away from it, unfortunately. So let's hope that it builds. The positive that's come out of it is it was never really about raising money. It was about raising awareness and just starting conversations, I personally didn't know too much about West Papua but once it started, just reading independent news, and starting conversations with people. And, as I'm on your program right now, one or two people listening may talk about it to somebody else. And it's just, starting the conversation, everybody should know about this, I believe anyway.
Well, I totally agree with you, mate. And some interesting people also involved in the documentary, rock journalist Stuart Coop, and also Chris Mazawak from Radio Birdman, The Screaming Tribesmen, etc.
Yes, that's right. And I got an email from Chris Mazawak yesterday. He now resides in Spain.
Yep.
He's starting a Punks West Papua in his town where he lives, which is great. There's talks about a Punks West Papua gig in London.
Yep.
And I received a Facebook message today that there's a punk hardcore gig happening in Long Beach, California, and Punks West Papua posters are right around the venue. And they want to do a couple of film screenings and, of course, start their own Punks West Papua campaign, which is great news,
It sure is, mate. And I also noticed on Facebook yesterday, is there a massive poster up in Enmore?
I'll say that again. Sorry, mate, repeat.
Is there a large poster in Enmore that someone's put up that you...
Yes, mate, there's a billboard on King Street, Newtown.
Oh, right.
It's if you look on my Facebook page, Hide Gun TV, yes, at the King Street intersection, there's a massive billboard that says Punks West Papua, so we're very proud of that one.
Yes, indeed, nice work. And that is your production company, isn't it? It's Hired Guns?
That's right, mate, yes.
Very nice work, mate. We might listen to a classic Australian, I wouldn't really call them a punk band, but a revved-up rock band called the Celibate Rifles, and then we can come back and have a little bit more of a chat, mate. What do you think? This is the Celibate Rifles and O Salvation.
We're getting older but no more wise. I look up
Sydney boys, Celibate Rifles, rocking it up big time there, Oh Salvation. And I'm talking to Anthony Ash-Brennan about the Punks for West Papuan documentary that he has made. And Ash, what actually first drew you in to this whole scenario there and made you want to make a film about it?
Well, mate, there was obviously many reasons. Talking to Benny Wender from the Free West Papua campaign, he's a very inspirational man, and he drew me to the fact that journalists are banned from West Papua. And it just made me start thinking about the 5 journalists, the Balabo 5, that were killed in East Timor. And with the Balabo 5, not too many people know this, but another journalist, Roger Eastman, went over there to investigate the deaths. He was captured by Indonesian military and shot and murdered as well, and his body dumped out at sea. So there's 6 Australian journalists murdered by Indonesian military, and to this day, no one's been brought to justice. In fact, 2 years ago, the Australian Federal Police dropped the case. And, you know, that's mine or your industry, Nick, you know, and, you know, for me, I can't rest easy at night knowing that that's going on.
And was this covered very widely in the Australian media itself, or was it banned?
Back in the 70s, in East Timor, yes. The 5 Aussie journalists, it was covered, and in fact there's a great mini-series, ABC mini-series called The Balabo 5, which is a must-watch. Okay. And, you know, and with sort of that comes sort of the synergy of Paul Stewart from Painters and Dockers. Yep. His brother was one of the Balabo 5. And, you know, just thinking about the music and politics of Painters and Dockers and the punk industry, the punk movement, you know, just the whole thing just slowly came together. And you mentioned before, no other genre of music has stood up for this, and it makes sense that punk is doing this, you know, because there is a direct connection there.
There certainly is, man, and the whole thing shocks me. Actually, I've only been, informed in snippets on the news and things until I watched your documentary that you sent me last week, and then I got the full picture. So, if you do want to find out exactly what is happening in West Papua and what people are trying to do about it, I suggest you check the film out. Give us the title and the web address again one more time, please, Ash.
Yes, mate. It's called Punks for West Papua, and it will be available tomorrow morning online for $10, with all that money going towards the campaign. The web address is www.punks4, as in number 4, westpapua.com. It's 45 minutes of good information, and instead of watching the nightly news, watch the doco.
Well, it's a very well put together doco, mate. You've edited it very nicely. Some very cool music, some Australian music, and some whammy guitar all the way through it. That is very, very cool.
Yes, mate. Yes. I called in some of the talents of some of the musicians I knew just to give it a bit of bubble right throughout it. So yeah, very happy with it, man. Just quickly, you know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. In fact, conspiracy theorists irk me. And making a documentary like this, you've got to be very careful not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, because anybody can make accusations. Yep. Every fact, everything we say in the documentary is backed up by credible sources, people who were there at the time. So it is factual, and definitely worth a watch. You don't have to be a fan of punk rock.
No, definitely not.
To enjoy it.
The crux of the matter is, of course, that the gold and silver mine, they're producing $8.7 billion a year, and American and English and Australian companies are making huge money out of it, as well as the Indonesian media, the Indonesian military, I should say, and they're paying, of course, the locals nothing at all to work there and killing them as well. That's the guts of it, isn't it, really?
Yes, mate. And, you know, the Australian government has been complicit in the genocide. We've given the Indonesian military, helicopters that have been used in the genocide. We train their tactical response team, which they have killed, you know, West Papuans, you know. So it is our problem, and as Australians, we need to stand up and say, this is not right.
Well, especially up here in the far north, man, Western Papua is only literally a stone's throw away from here, so we're very close to it.
It's a day's drive from where you are.
Indeed, or maybe an hour and a half's flight, if that.
So, yes.
All right, thank you very much for your time this afternoon on the radio, Ash, and I hope that you know what you set out to do, you achieve purely getting people's awareness happening on what's happening there.
Mate, and thank you very much for having you on the show, and can I just take 1 second to wish you a very happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much, mate. Cheers. You can introduce the next Panties and Dockers tune if you like.
This would be Nude School, wouldn't it? By
Yep.
Painters and Dockers.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.